Hi, you must be thinking what I am doing actually. But this is what we are going to study. Not about candle, not about matchstick. We are going to study about chemistry. You're right. Yes, dear friends, welcome to New Wave Coaching Classes for Science. This is your host Jatin. Today we are going to discuss about chemistry, and the first chapter of our today's topic is chemical reactions and equations. Right? Now, before we go to the topic, we must understand the basic thing about the chemical reactions and equations. Right? So, the basic thing is, the thing which you learn in class 9th, that is about the chemical change and the physical change. Now, let's understand about the chemical change and the physical change. If you remember, the physical change was a change which can be reversed, in which no new substance is formed. On the other hand, when we talk about a chemical change, we say it cannot be reversed. Simple. I burned the matchstick with a matchbox. I can't burn it again. Irreversible. Right? And no new substance is formed. No. New substance is formed. How? You take a candle, you burn it. What is formed? CO2 gas. Right? And water vapor. So these are the new substances formed. So when we talk about a chemical change, we say it is not reversible and something new is formed. Right? So let's pen it down about the chemical change. So we say a chemical change when a new substance is formed. What else? It cannot be reversed. Right? So these are the basic features of a chemical change. Now, we say any reaction which involves a chemical change is called a chemical reaction. Let's see. Let's pen it down. Chemical reaction. A reaction which involves a chemical change. Is called a chemical reaction. Now we can have many instances in our everyday life where we can see about a chemical reaction. A very simple example, at your home you make curd, yogurt, right? So how you make? With the help of curd, with the help of milk. Now when milk changes into curd or yogurt, can you reverse it back? No, it cannot be reversed. Right? So it's an example of a chemical change. What else? We talk about any fruit. We talk about apples. Turns rotten. Why? It's a chemical change. You cannot reverse it. What else? Weed is fire. It's a chemical change. Right? The detail will be coming about respiration in your biology. Right? So these are the few examples of a chemical change. There can be many examples of a chemical change. When we form some vegetable, it's a chemical change. Rusting of iron is a chemical change. Let's take a few examples from the book of your NCERT, right? Let's see the first activity. What they say, if we have zinc metal, whose color is silver, if you burn it, so you say zinc is burned. Now what happens? Burning is again a chemical change, as we have seen in the starting of this lecture. You burn something, it's a chemical change because something new is formed. So when we burn zinc, what happens basically? Zinc burns and it produces dazzling white flame. Dazzling white flame. Now you can compare this flame with the flame of a sparkle which you use during the festival of Diwali. But the only difference is there is no sound, there is smoke produced. Now, when you burn something, obviously it's a chemical change, so something new will be formed. So, when you burn something in the presence of air, the thing reacts with oxygen, right? So, obviously here, zinc also reacts with oxygen during burning and it forms zinc oxide. Right, my dear friends, let's take another example from the book itself. It's given, if you have lead nitrate, a solution of lead nitrate, solution. So, solution of lead nitrate, that is, solution of lead nitrate is formed in water. It's a clear solution, right? And then you also take the solution of lead iodide, potassium iodide. Again, the solution is formed in the water and it's a clear solution. Now, something happens when both the things are mixed. Something happens when both the things are mixed. Now, what happens actually? When you mix these two things, something new is formed. What new is formed? The thing new formed is lead iodide, and the other thing which is formed is potassium nitrate. Now the question is, how we will come to know that the reaction has proceeded? Yes, that is the question. So when we mix these two, as soon as we mix, the color of the solution changes to yellow. Now, why does it changes to yellow? Due to the formation of lead iodide. And I say this lead iodide is yellow in color and it forms an insoluble substance in the reaction. Yellow and insoluble mass. And this insoluble mass are also called as precipitates. In the same way, if you have seen the formation of cheese at your home, it's also called paneer. So what do? You put some vinegar in the milk, and after a few time, you see that the paneer that is left out is the insoluble substance. That thing cannot be mixed again with that liquid to form the milk and the vinegar back. Again, it's an example of chemical reaction. So same thing happens here, that insoluble mass is called here as precipitates, right? So lead iodide and potassium nitrate. The mixture which is left, the solution which is left is of potassium nitrate, and the insoluble substance which is formed is the lead iodide, right? Let's take another example, a very common example. We take the example of zinc, a zinc metal being dropped in hydrochloric acid. Yes, zinc is dropped in a test tube of hydrochloric acid. Now what do we see when this happens? The same thing. If you put some salt in a cold drink, in a soft drink, you see some fizzing, some bubbles coming out. That is due to the formation of carbon dioxide. But here, carbon dioxide is not formed. What is formed is hydrogen. So, when we put zinc metal in a test tube filled with hydrochloric acid, the bubbles start coming out and slowly the reaction becomes fast. Means the formation of bubbles becomes fast. Why? Because it's the hydrogen, the reaction becomes fast due to the formation of hydrogen. Right, dear friends? So, all these reactions are the examples of chemical reactions. Right, dear friends? Now the question, without knowing how we come to know about the reaction has proceeded or not. So every reaction has some properties which we call as characteristics. Now we are going to study about the characteristics of a chemical reaction. Sorry, lost this. So talking about characteristics of a chemical reaction. Yes, characteristics of chemical reaction. What are the things happening when two things react? Right? So the first thing which is formed, we say change in color. So you see in this reaction, initially both the things were transparent, no color was there, but when they mix, some yellow color was formed. So we say change in color, right? Then we say change in state. Now what does the state means here? If you remember in class 9 you learned about the different states of matter, solid, liquid, and gas. So initially what happens, whatever things we have taken in the beginning, if you see the reaction, we have taken the things which were in the liquid form. But here, this lead iodide is formed in solid, the leftover mass, right? So this is what we say change in state. And the third thing, we say change in temperature. Now, when we talk about change in temperature, we take the third example, that is a reaction of zinc with the hydrochloric acid. As soon as the zinc is dropped in the hydrochloric acid, slowly the test tube starts becoming warm. Why it starts becoming warm? Due to because of the reaction. The reaction, the zinc is getting reacted with hydrochloric acid. The atoms inside them are colliding with each other, because of which the temperature starts rising, right? So you can say they are evolving energy, right? So we say change in temperature. And the fourth characteristics is evolution of gas. So this is the thing which happens here when zinc reacts with hydrochloric acid. So what are the things formed when the zinc reacts? The gas bubbles are formed, and this gas that comes out is of hydrogen gas. Right? So these are the four characteristics of a chemical reaction. You can add one more characteristic in that. We can say there is also a formation of precipitates, as we have seen in the second example. Formation of precipitates. So these are the 5 characteristics of a chemical reaction. Right, dear friends? So this was all about chemical reaction. In the subsequent lectures, we will be discussing about chemical equations, balancing, types of reactions. Till then, keep on watching this. This is your host signing off. Goodbye and take care.